In the latest episode of Grede's series Aspire, Meghan Markle appeared more relaxed and open than ever. She shared spontaneous selfies, honest reflections, and stories that gave fans a rare glimpse into her journey towards self-confidence, healing, and personal growth. There was no sense of performance, just a woman reclaiming her story, one candid moment at a time. Sitting across from Grede, Meghan opened up about what it feels like to be constantly under a microscope and how she's now learning to live life on her own terms. Speaking with quiet conviction, Meghan discussed the transformation she's undergone both in the public eye and behind the scenes. She reflected on how her identity has often been shaped by other people's narratives and how exhausting it can be when your every move is analyzed or misunderstood. But now, she says, that's beginning to shift. With her return to Instagram earlier this year, Meghan is taking back control of her story, using the platform not just to promote her projects, but to be seen as she truly is: unfiltered, unapologetic, and most of all, authentic. One of the more striking moments in the conversation came when Meghan spoke about honesty. "I just want people to tell the truth," she said plainly, not as a demand, but as a quiet plea. For someone so often caught in the whirlwind of tabloid speculation, the desire to be understood for who she really is, not who others say she is, carried weight. She explained how social media, when used intentionally, can actually feel like therapy, a space where she doesn't need permission to be herself. It's not about controlling the narrative, she emphasized, it's about living truthfully within it. Grede, who co-founded both Good American and Skims, connected deeply with Meghan's story. Their exchange felt like more than just an interview. It was a dialogue between two women who understand the pressures of building something from scratch while the world watches. When Meghan shared how her creative goals have often collided with public expectations, it struck a chord. She spoke about the courage it takes to not shrink yourself to fit in. "Sometimes I walk into a room and I'm literally tiptoeing," she admitted, "and I have to remind myself it's okay to speak clearly. It doesn't mean you're demanding. It just means you're sure." This vulnerability resonated. Meghan didn't posture or deflect, she leaned into her discomfort and named it. It's a feeling so many women can relate to, especially women of color who are told to soften their voices, make themselves smaller, and avoid being labeled difficult. Meghan talked about breaking free from that mold. Reflecting on a previous conversation she had with Issa Rae and Ziwi, she recalled how powerful it felt to be encouraged to speak up, even when the world labels you angry for doing so. "She was right," Meghan said. "Being direct isn't rude, it's brave." On the career front, Meghan was equally transparent. She shared that she's decided to put the second season of Confessions of a Female Founder on hold, not because she's stepping back, but because she's stepping forward into other passions. Her lifestyle brand As Ever is in the works, and she's devoting time to With Love, Meghan, her upcoming Netflix series. She explained that, as much as she loves storytelling, she also has to be mindful about where she invests her energy. "I needed to focus," she said simply. It wasn't dramatic, just a woman choosing to prioritize what matters most right now, but Meghan's sense of balance isn't limited to the boardroom. She lit up when talking about her family, especially the everyday joys that ground her. "Gardening with Prince Harry and their kids," she said, "is a treasured ritual. It's not just about planting seeds, it's about cultivating values. Through digging in the dirt and watching things grow, she's teaching her children patience, responsibility, and appreciation for the small things. That kind of grounding," she hinted, "is what truly keeps her centered amid the chaos of public life." What made this episode feel so intimate were the visuals, those spontaneous selfies Meghan shared throughout. These weren't staged or polished for perfection. They were soft, personal, even a little goofy at times. A laugh at something off camera, a quiet moment of reflection, a smile that didn't feel forced. These glimpses offered fans a version of Meghan they rarely get to see, one that's calm, confident, and completely in her element. It stood in stark contrast to the controlled, carefully curated image that followed her during her royal years. Emma and Meghan's chemistry was unmistakable. The two women, both powerful in their own right, connected not through titles or fame, but through a shared experience of being underestimated and misunderstood. They talked about the need to be seen not as ideas or headlines, but as full, complex individuals. And as the conversation unfolded, it became clear that Meghan isn't interested in reclaiming the past. She's focused on building a future that feels more honest, more intentional, and more joyful. She acknowledged that there are still moments when self-doubt creeps in, But she's learning to embrace those moments too. I used to feel ashamed for wanting clarity, she said. Now, I realize clarity is kindness. That shift in mindset hasn't just shaped how she leads, it's reshaped how she lives. Whether she's on set, in the garden, or simply snapping a photo in her living room, Meghan is no longer trying to meet other people's expectations. She's writing her own story, page by page. What stood out most throughout the episode was how effortlessly Meghan balanced vulnerability with strength. She didn't shy away from her past challenges or the intense scrutiny she's endured. Instead, she acknowledged them, not with bitterness, but with perspective. There was no sense of needing to defend herself, just a calm, grounded acknowledgement of where she's been and how far she's come. That kind of quiet confidence, the kind that comes from doing the work behind closed doors, resonated deeply with viewers. It was less about reinventing herself and more about finally allowing the world to see the real her. As Meghan and Emma continued their conversation, they also explored the idea of creative freedom, what it means to create without fear of judgment or external approval. Meghan admitted that for a long time, she felt boxed in by what people expected from her. Every word, every outfit, every gesture became a headline. Now, as she builds her brand and focuses on her creative ventures, she's giving herself permission to experiment. It doesn't have to be perfect, she said. It just has to be real. That mindset shift from performance to presence is something she hopes more women can embrace. They also touched on motherhood and how that's shaped her sense of purpose. Meghan lit up when talking about the small moments, reading to her kids, making pancakes, laughing at silly things that only toddlers find funny. Those everyday experiences, she said, remind her of what really matters. It's not about being everything to everyone, she explained. It's about being present with the people who matter most. It was a gentle but powerful reminder that success isn't always loud. Sometimes it looks like a quiet morning at home. Another important topic that surfaced was the pressure of representation. Meghan opened up about the weight that can come with being a woman of color in high places. She acknowledged the double standards, the labels, the way people expect you to be everything at once: strong but soft, confident but not intimidating, ambitious but never too assertive. It's a delicate dance that she's had to navigate in both public and private spaces. But instead of letting that pressure define her, Meghan is choosing to redefine what leadership and visibility look like on her own terms. By the end of the episode, the tone had shifted from reflection to forward-thinking optimism. Meghan spoke with excitement about the future, not just for herself, but for the women watching and listening. Whether it's through her Netflix work, her brand, or the stories she chooses to tell, she wants to create space for other voices too. There's room for all of us, she said, and we don't have to shrink to make space, we just have to shine. It was the kind of message that didn't feel rehearsed. It felt earned, and it's exactly the